Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Now in today's episode, we're going to be traveling back to the year 1994 and talking all about IBM OS2 Warp version 3.0. Now this year's going to be a bit of a follow-up video to a recent episode that I did on OS2 version 2.1, which you can check out here. But if you missed that video, you honestly didn't really miss much because we just had all sorts of problems getting this operating system installed. We'll just set this aside for now because hopefully we're going to have better success with OS2 Warp version 3 here today. Now this is a pretty significant release of OS2 because it introduced the Warp brand name for the first time, which was really done by IBM to kind of signify that this was sort of a rebirth of the operating system, something to get people excited about. And IBM was certainly hoping that this was going to be a massive success, and they were hoping that OS2 would eventually become the industry standard operating system on x86 based PCs. Unfortunately, as we all know, that never happened because this little thing called Windows was already out there at the time and it had become far more popular than OS2 would ever be. Even though Microsoft initially started developing OS2 with IBM and then left to pursue Windows after it became extremely successful. It's a whole really interesting story that honestly deserves its own video, but let's go ahead and save that for later and dive into what we have here in front of us right now. Now, OS2 Warp 3.0 came in a few different versions, two major ones. You had what was known as the Red Stripe version and the Blue Stripe version. Now, the Red Stripe version was intended to be sold to people who had a computer that already had Windows installed on it. And OS2 would utilize that existing installation to run all of your Windows programs, well, maybe not all, but let's say most of your Windows programs from within OS2. And that was one of the really big selling points of OS2, is it was a better DOS than DOS and a better Windows than Windows, as IBM themselves put it. The Blue Stripe version, on the other hand, was more expensive because it came with essentially a full copy of Windows that OS2 would utilize to run all your Windows applications. This version we have here is neither of those because it is an upgrade version, although there is a blue stripe on the side here. This was meant for people who had OS2 version 2.1, like I've got here, and you were meant to upgrade from that to this, which is what we're going to be trying to do today with the partial install that I have on the $5 Packard Bell. Though I'll be honest, I'm expecting it to fail, and if it does, we're just going to use a red stripe copy to install on a machine running Windows 3.1. But let's save that for later in the video and talk about this box some more and take a look at the back here. You see we got a couple screenshots here. It's got a couple text blurbs that tell you how great OS2 is and why you'll never need anything else. You got this really awesome logo up here, the classic OS2 logo that I love. I've said this a handful of times on this channel. Really awesome design. Let's go ahead and open it up here and take a look at what we got. So this version is pretty neat because it comes included with the bonus pack, which is what we have right here underneath all of the software. Now, just like OS2 2.1, we've got two 3.5-inch floppy diskettes, though notably absent are the 5.25-inch ones that we had with 2.1, and one of these is your installation diskette that you boot off of, and one of them is diskette 1 that you have to put in before you put in the CD, which we've got right here. So we'll set that aside with the floppy diskettes. Here's the bonus pack. This honestly I think would be worthy of its own video at some point. It essentially contains a selection of additional software, some utilities and things like that. There's a list of them right here that you could install once you upgrade it to Warp 3.0. So yeah, we'll kind of just set this aside and then perhaps we'll come back to it at a later date. One thing I found really neat with OS2 that I'm seeing here is IBM included all sorts of documentation here that Microsoft never really did with Windows. You got all sorts of offers, and just a ton of really neat stuff to look through, especially today when we're trying to kind of re-experience this whole unboxing experience. Right here, you've got, what is this? An order form for OS2 Professional Magazine, the best new computer magazine of 1993. Find out why. Yeah, you got a thing you could send in. Oh, actually, this is a bunch of stuff. Look at all this stuff. So that's just this one here. You also got that Computer World offer. We got that with 2.1. You've got OS2 Developer for fastest service. Fax this to this number. I'd like to receive OS2 Developer free of charge. Oh, really cool. And then what's this one here? Oh, this one comes out as well. Turbocharger OS2 system. Oh man, another OS2 magazine. Well, this is actually the OS2 magazine. Yeah, so that's neat. I just always love seeing this stuff. It's very neat to go through here. Right here, we have your customer service and support, really nicely designed manual here, and it looks like you have a serial number there, I guess, that you could, yeah, this number is required when calling in for service. Okay, so this right here looks like a frequently asked questions kind of thing. What support is available to me? What should I do first? And yeah, got that big blue, well, blue. So there's that. You got a, what is this, your license agreement? Yep, OS2 Warp Upgrade Edition for users of OS2 2.1. Right here, we've got your common questions, version 3 with DOS and Windows application support. And you can see right here, going back to what I said earlier, it just says flat out that OS2 Warp is not available on 5¼ inch diskettes, which is pretty significant. I believe this was the first version to do that. And right here, you've got your similarly designed registration card. So you would fill this out and mail it into IBM. Isn't that nice? What is this? Installing OS2 Warp on an Aptiva. Oh, interesting. Your IBM Aptiva computer came installed with Microsoft Windows 3.11. Before you begin to install IBM's new OS2 Warp, please call the OS2 technical support team. Their direct service telephone number and other information are provided in the customer service and support brochure that came with your OS2 Warp package. Interesting. So I guess this was sold maybe with an IBM Aptiva? Interesting. That is, I've not seen, well, I've not really seen any of this stuff before because, as I've mentioned, I'm not ultra familiar with OS2 because I never used it as my primary operating system. So, you know, this is the first time I'll be using Warp 3. I've used so far, well, this version here, 2.1, and OS2 Warp 4, just messed around with it in a VM. Well, actually, no, I haven't used this because we weren't able to get it installed, so I still have yet to try that out. This right here is an Adobe thing, kind of similar, just an updated version of what we saw in the package there for 2.1. Right here you got your really thick user's guide. How thick is this here? Looking like almost 400 pages. Do we get the 400? Yes, exactly 400 pages. I mean, not counting this one here. So you could read through that and get all the OS2 information you would ever need. I mean, maybe. Probably not, because you probably were still going to have some questions. Right here you had your license information. Definitely going to read through that. And right here you have, what is this? Sources and Solutions, 2nd edition, fall/winter 1994. The source for hardware, software, publication, services, and courseware solutions. Huh. Oh yeah, I love these logos down here. The IBM PC-DOS logo. Gosh, very, very neat looking. And so yeah, this is like a booklet with all sorts of, like, what do we got in here? Let's just flip through. This is, yeah, basically a list of all sorts of OS2 applications and where you could buy them from. So let's just flick to a random page here. So let's see. Oh, I'm getting into hardware here. Okay, here is Integrated Workgroup. So, of course, you got a massive IBM page here. But if you go over here, you got Seabreeze Engineering Associates, you got Shortcut, so that was a program offered by them. You got Sundial Systems made Relish, the ideal personal time manager. So that's kind of neat. Like, this is something that Microsoft did not do with Windows. I mean, they didn't really have a thing included that was like, oh, this is all the software that you could get, at least not that I've seen. So that's very neat. Though I don't know if this was bundled with this, or if the person who owned this just got this afterwards, and, yeah, well, there's no address on the back, so this wasn't mailed to somebody. I mean, unless there was a top label or something on here that would have had the address or something, but, yeah, I don't know if this was bundled with it, but either way, it's pretty neat to have. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and set all this aside and switch over to the $5 Packard Bell, where we're going to be installing and hopefully actually getting to try out OS2 Warp 3.0. Alright, here we are. So we're going to go ahead and take our installation diskette right here and pop that into the Packard Bell's 3.5-inch drive, and we'll do a Control-Alt-Delete, and we'll see how smooth this installation process goes. Like I said, I really hope we can actually get this installed. And there we are. We're reading off the drive. We got OS2 up there at the top left, which is a great sign for sure. And yep, there we go. So this, right off the bat, is, well, identical to the prior version that we checked out before. So we put in diskette number 1. Let's hit enter. Oh no, device driver. Already off to a great start. Device driver T348 scuzzy.add specified in the base dev equals statement on line 37. The config.sys was not installed. Line 37 is ignored. Okay. Now I'm pretty sure this is just going to complain about there not being a copy of OS2 2.1 on the drive. But we'll see. Maybe it will in fact work. So we'll put in our program disk there. Close the drive. Oh, let's see if this... Now this was the problem with the last video. At this point, the installer would not recognize the CD drive. Whatever driver it needed, it just did not have. Okay, it is actually, we got it. Oh, wow, it worked. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Okay, so that's... I was kind of in the back of my head thinking it's going to do the same thing, but luckily, because this computer here, I should mention, is from 1996, so it's 2 years newer than the software itself. So we're going to go with, let's go with advanced installation here. OS2 requires a minimum partition size of 35 megabytes. Currently, there are no partitions of at least this size on your hard disk. If you're going to install all the features, you need 60 megabytes. Really? Okay. So, yeah, we can modify the partition. And, well, we definitely have... That's over 35 megabytes, for sure. It's probably just having trouble interpreting what that number is. Let's just delete this here. And now we're down to 639 megabytes. It's just screwing up here, because you saw it was that crazy number before, and then when we deleted the partition, it's down to 639 megabytes. So, I mean, we'll just create partition. Although I guess we have to install boot manager. I just deleted the partition that we had, but this is an upgrade copy, and it said you had to have OS2 2.1 installed, which is what 2.1 said about 2.0. So I'm starting to wonder if this upgrade copy is really just a regular copy that you had to, kind of like with that upgrade copy of Windows 3.1 that we took a look at, you just had to prove to the seller, you know, whatever store was selling this thing, that you had an existing copy. Because, I mean, it let us format the partition, or, well, it hasn't formatted the partition yet, but, I mean, I haven't seen anything about, like, oh, you don't have a copy of OS2 installed, so you can't upgrade, and I don't think it would let you delete the partition that you would theoretically have if it was going to upgrade from it. Because it just freaked out with the size, with whatever size of that partition, which is what the previous installers set up. So yeah, that was just a complete mess, but I guess we can just do a clean install, which is great. Oh my gosh, I was just saying. So disregard everything I just said, because now I've completely, now I've completely screwed any chance we had of utilizing that, that partial install, because it says right here that it can't proceed because it needs it needs a specific version of OS2 on the hard disk, which it no longer has. So it just, like, it lets you format. I probably should have just gone with Express. Of course, I'm going with custom to, like, change the partition table or look at the partition table. And that completely screwed everything up. So, okay, I'm going to go and get the copy of, I mean, the full version of OS2. And we will use that instead. Yay, we got what we need. Okay, so what we're gonna do is try and use the diskettes from the upgrade copy that I have. I think they're the same. If not, luckily, there is a tool on the CD that allows you to create the floppies. You just have to boot into DOS, which we'll just use like a Windows, I think I've got a Windows Me boot CD that we could use. So we'll just like load off of that because it'll have CD-ROM support and everything should be good. Let's see if we can just do this first before we even jump into that. So disk 1 is in, nothing is in the CD drive. We're at that wonderful booting / loading screen again. You know what I just realized though? I burned this image onto a rewritable CD, and I think this drive had problems before reading from rewritable CDs. No, it can't. I did not even think of this when I was making this disc. Okay, let me go and use a non-rewritable CD. Alright, let's try this again. There we go. Much better. So yeah, rewritable CDs are great, just not when you encounter a drive that can't read anything from them. So this time we're just going to go with easy installation, which will install on drive C. Drive C is not large enough. Again, okay. Accept predefined. Yeah, we're just going to do the predefined installation partition. Hard disk partitioning is complete. Okay, so we gotta restart. This is what happened before with OS 2 2.1. So theoretically, when we start up this time, we shouldn't get the screen where it asks us easy or advanced. It should just go into formatting the drive, which is what we want. So yeah, I don't think that the upgrade copy would have worked even if I didn't delete the partition. I think it still would have not been able to detect the existing install because there wasn't a full install. Okay, incoming diskette number 1. At least the one that is marked number 1. There's a lot of waiting involved in this, that's for sure, especially when you gotta restart multiple times. And it thinks the partitions are too small again. Okay. Oh, so it never... Okay, so it didn't do anything at all with with the previous time this loaded here. So, yeah, partition mapping on drive 1 may be corrupted. Yeah, I think that's definitely what's going on here. So, okay, let's... Options menu. We want to delete the partition. And then... This is the thing, though. When you do that... Like, nothing... All these options are grayed out, essentially. Like, I can't create a partition, I can't install the boot manager, I can't change the name, I can't do any of this. Like, what can we do? Like, I can't go into any of these. I mean, I can go through each one. Nothing's gonna happen. So... This is what happened before, when we were booting off of the upgrade disk. I just didn't realize at the time that all these options were grayed out. I was trying to go to them and I'm like, why is this not working? So, literally the only thing we can do is, well, what is... Oh, that's just to let you know, like, set/select is enter. So we'll have to exit. No partition was set installable, okay. Save and exit, and then it's gonna do this again. So, you know what? We're gonna boot off of that Windows Me CD. Gosh, this is already becoming a massive, just a mess. So, we're gonna do this so that we can just run fdisk and just delete the partition, because I don't think it actually saved any of that, because I did that same thing before and it didn't actually work. Because it just, you saw it just came back and the partition table was exactly the same. So we're just going to restart here. It'll be interesting to see what fdisk from MS-DOS reports. This is already a total mess. Okay, so invalid drive specification. So there is no C drive. We run fdisk, yes. What do we got? Nothing. No partitions defined. So that should mean that we restart and it should be able to... Okay. We'll just put this... Gosh, I'm just very skeptical about this because we already did this and it just came back with the same partition table. But okay. And by the way, I know I could have just created a FAT32 partition from Windows Me, but I want to try and use HPFS instead of FAT32. Okay, so we're here again. Let's go with easy installation. Drive C is not large enough, so we have to go back to... But let's just go in here. Look, I guarantee you... Accept predefined. Okay, so we have this again, but is this what's causing the partition to be all screwed up? I guarantee you, watch. I think this is what's screwing it up. How much do you want to bet that it's going to show that same screwy partition table again? Which would mean that default option of the predefined partition table is screwing up. You watch. It's the same thing. It's unformatted. What is... Okay. How about... No, we can't even format it if we wanted to. No, we can only delete the partition, and then we can't create anything. I'm just going to make this simpler and just load off of the Windows Me CD and just use fdisk from there. So, let's run fdisk. Let's see if it reports anything. Yes, large disk support. We don't have anything. Okay, so we're going to create a new partition, primary DOS partition. It's going to have to verify the drive integrity. And I'm going to make this partition like 500 megabytes. So we'll say No, we don't want to use the maximum available size. Oh, so it's like a 4 gig hard drive. Okay, so let's just make this primary DOS partition. We're going to make this 750 megabytes. There you go. Primary DOS partition created. Exit. Exit. You must restart your computer. Okay. Just to be safe, I'm going to load back off of here and format the drive from here. All right. Format. C:. There's what? There's no format. Oh, is it on the D drive? What? How is there no format command on here? Are you kidding me? That's utterly insane. We've got fdisk, but not format. I have not seen that before. Holy cow. What's on the D drive? The D drive is... Yeah, the A drive is the RAM drive, essentially, that it's expanded. So yeah, it doesn't have format.com or format.exe. Alright, well, I guess that answers that. Now, we could boot off of another MS-DOS boot disk, like an actual boot floppy disk, and run the format command from there, but let's just see if the OS2 installer likes the fact that we have a properly partitioned 750 megabyte partition on the drive. Okay, easy installation. What do you mean it's not large enough? A minimum partition, say it's 750 megabytes. A partition with at least 35 megabytes must be, okay, installable. Can we set that? We can't set that as installable. What are you supposed to do if all these options are grayed out? You watch, okay, we'll delete the partition. And then we have nothing here. There's nothing that we can do. How are you supposed to do this? There's no options. And if I exit, press any key... Okay, let's quit fdisk without saving. I don't understand why this is having so much difficulty. Because you saw that the free space was 64 megabytes or whatever it is. So even if the partition I made was invalid or something, there's still 64 megs of free space on the drive that it can use as a theoretical partition. But I can't even partition that. Be sure that you have the amount of hard... Okay, can we actually press enter to continue with installation? Oh, okay. Well, okay. Yeah, format the partition. Yes, we want to do that. You know what? Just to save, because I had problems with high performance last time, we're just going to do fat, just to keep it simple. Press enter to format the partition, yes. Format error. The installation program failed due to an error. Less than 35 megabyte primary partition exists. Format error. An error occurred when system installation tried to format your fixed disk. Gee, that really explains it. Okay, so we have to restart once again. I have never experienced this amount of issues, this like snowball effect. To this extent, like I've had, you know, thing going wrong after thing going wrong after thing going wrong. I've had that happen. You guys have seen many times, but I don't think I've had anything to this extent. Oh, and one thing I should mention, because I might get a few comments about it, that device driver that it's failing to load has nothing to do with it, because that's a SCSI driver and this is an IDE drive. So, okay, we're back here at this screen again. Let's try to do easy installation. Drive C is not large enough. So we have to go back to advanced installation, press enter to modify partitions, enter. We'll hit F3 to exit, press any key, we get to this screen, enter to continue with installation. We are going to say format this time. Let's try HPFS. Press enter to format the partition. But you see, it's not saying, this is the thing, it's not telling you what partition it has selected. I guess it's the only one on the drive, because there was that little bit of free space. Okay, this is where it crashed before. System can... Why is it trying to write to the A drive? It's locked, so we gotta unlock it here and then put it back in. But I still don't know why... What is going on? What is all of this? System detected an internal processing error. I still don't know why it's writing to the A drive. I'm just imagining myself experiencing all these problems as a novice user in 1994. I mean, can you imagine? Like, you would probably throw your computer out the window by this point. I mean, seriously, like... It's crazy. Alright, so it's time for plan B, and that is going to be none other than virtualization. Because I was doing some testing off camera, and I was able to get past all of that partitioning mess that we were experiencing on the $5 Packard Bell. I went through here, partitioned the drive, restarted, and it began copying files, and now we're here. So it's asking us to remove the diskette from drive A, then press enter to continue with the installation. So we will do just that and hit enter. There we go. Off to a great start, although I don't want to jinx myself, but this is definitely looking promising. So I think that hard drive is just cursed or something. I mean, well, it's probably because it's too big or something, but oh my gosh. I have never been so happy to see an OS2 system configuration panel in my life. Holy cow. So everything looks good. Let's go ahead and click OK. Do not install default printer because we don't have one. Oh my gosh, there we go. And I love this progress bar, by the way. And that's it. Everything goes a lot faster in a VM here. OS2 setup and installation is complete. You'll need to shut down and restart your system. Okay. Introducing OS2. Using OS2 will help you learn how to use OS2. Wow, man. Holy cow, I did not know that. This program will help you learn... A program named Using OS2 will help you learn how to use OS2? No way, man. So, yeah, we're just gonna quit out of that. I am ecstatic. Like, I am so happy. You guys don't even know. Because I've got... Hang on, how much footage do I have? Let me go and... Let me look at this nonsense. I have 2.5 hours worth of footage. That is utterly insane. Like, it's... I mean, it's not the most footage I've ever recorded for a video. In fact, it doesn't even come close to it. That monorail video, I got like 6 hours of footage for that because of all the nonsense I had to go through. But oh my gosh, man, I'm just like, I'm just so happy. I don't even know what to do at this point. Like, gosh, the whole challenge was getting this thing installed. Now we got it installed. It's like, okay, what do I do? We got the OS2 system editor. Ooh, man, check that out. Oh, well, you know what I'm going to do? We're going to make a text document. Hello, world. I have never been so excited to get OS2 installed. Michael MJD. Okay. Let's go ahead and save that. Let's save that to... I'll do in the OS2 directory, that's fine. Hello. Oh, OS2 chess. Of course we got to do OS2 chess. Oh my gosh. Let's go, man. I mean, we're not going to play... Oh, did I set this up as... Oh, I set it up as player versus player. Let's go to a new game. No. No, I want to do... Oh, options, set players. Here you go, computer. That was my bad. So let's do a really smart move here. Oh my gosh. I just can't get over how oh my god, just everything I had to go through, man. That was a really dumb move. You know what? We're just gonna close out of chess. I promise I'm better at chess than just walking into a bad move like that right at the beginning. Klondike Solitaire. We can go to product information. There you go. OS2 Presentation Manager, Klondike Solitaire, copyright IBM, 1991. Well guys, I'll be honest, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. At least we got something installed, even if it's in a virtual machine. It's just great to have this installed and kind of mess around with it for a little bit here. But I think that's a good stopping point for today. Hopefully you all enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up, get subscribed, all that good stuff. And as always, I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.